We're going to show today how to set up the equipment for bingo, and if a banquet hall user would come in and need to use the audio equipment or the TV equipment, we'll go through it step by step of what the way I would go, and perhaps you would go also, the steps that we would follow to make sure the equipment is ready to be used. We're going to show you how to get into the sound room. You'll have to have a pass key from the fire company, which I have. This will unlock this door. This door is normally locked. This is the sound room. This door is normally unlocked, but occasionally you'll come back here and it'll be locked. We're going to show you where the key is in the event that you come in here and this door is locked. We're now in the kitchen of the fire hall. The key that will open that sound room is right here. This is normally where this key will hang, and it's marked audio room. That key will unlock the sound room. And while we're back here, we'll show you where the circuit breaker is for the power in the event you would need to turn off all the power to the sound room. We'll show you where that circuit breaker is. This is the power room for the entire building, except the operational area or the bays where the fire trucks are normally parked. This breaker box and breaker number 8. It's marked here, breaker number 8 will turn off the power to the sound room. How to set up the equipment for bingo, and if a banquet hall user would come in and need to use the audio equipment or the TV equipment, we'll go through it step by step of what the way I would go, and perhaps you would go also, the steps that we would follow to make sure the equipment is ready to be used. First thing we would do, sometimes the equipment is used and never turned off. So the first thing I would do would be to check the equipment to see if it's already on. So we'll go in here in the room to see if the equipment is on. As you can see, the equipment is turned off. If it were on, this power amp would be on. The switch is already on. The lights in the back we only have one light showing here when the equipment is on, and we'll show you after we turn the equipment on out at the controllers. There'll be 2 lights lit in here. But right now, the previous user has turned the equipment off, which everybody should do when they're done using it. So we'll come back in here later and explain the controls and the TV input and the audio inputs. We'll come back into this room later. The next step I would do is out here. We've got two controllers here. This controller is the only one of the two that will turn on the equipment. This one, you'll have to turn it on to do the adjustments. This is all audio. There's no TV appearing on these units. This is strictly audio. So, to turn the equipment on, locate 4, 1, 3, 2, locate. If you put the code in correctly, it'll come up flashing green. Hit any button, and this number 1 light will come on dim. That's an indication that the equipment is now off. To turn it on, you just hit that and it comes up bright. The power is now applied to the audio equipment and the video equipment. Normal use for bingo is number 1. To control it, you would turn this to number 1. In order to adjust it, you have to push it in, which selects number 1. This control here now will control the volume of the input from number 1 mic position. These are various positions that are located in the hall. These are wireless, Sennheiser wireless transmitters, and the receiver is what we're controlling the volume for each receiver that's matched up with these Sennheiser transmitters. These are all cordless or wireless. So we now have the equipment turned on. This will remain on for 5 minutes. It'll time out. It'll go blank just like this one is. If you want to adjust these controls, you go through the same sequence, 4, 1, 3, 2, and on. And if you put it in correctly, these are all come up flashing green. Just to show you, if you put it in incorrectly, well, I've put it in correctly, so it's now set. If you come up here and you put it in incorrect, these will all flash red instead of green.
Yep.
This one, remember, is the only one that will power up the equipment. This one will not power up the equipment. This is strictly to adjust these positions, these wireless. The numbering, these numbers up here, 1 through 5, 1 is the west wall, that's what we call the west wall. 2 is down here on the west wall. 3 and 4 are on that wall. And we have 1 here, which is number 5. We'll go back in to the equipment, and I'll show you what should be on and describe the various pieces of the equipment. First of all, I said earlier about the, we now see we've got two lights on. The controller, the power controller that we just punched in our code out there controls this control, which feeds power down to the equipment. Majority of this equipment is audio equipment. There's very little video equipment in this rack. Video is strictly the cable, comes in through the switch. This is a video switch. We have cable which is no longer used. Years ago, before they scrambled the signal, we could take it right from the input, and there was a different setup here where you could individually send the signal to each TV set. That is no longer part of the equipment. They scrambled it, so now it comes in through this box, which you can't see back in here, but there is a remote for it. This is all of the video equipment that we have, besides the TV sets. But as far as controlling and amplifying the TV signal, this is it. A switch, and back here where we break it out to the 4 different TV sets that are outside here in the dining area. That's the extent of the video side of the system. There are different inputs at each TV set where you could have a piece of portable equipment and hook into that TV set. We will show you out here on the wall later where they're located. But all of this, except for this DVD player, everything else is sound. This is the mixer. These controls are, as they're labeled, kitchen, the restrooms, reception area. This control controls the audio, which goes out on the east side of the building. The east side is the side behind me now.
The parking lot area.
The parking lot area. These are the receivers for our wireless audio equipment. These would be controlled by that bottom controller out there. These cables, this one goes over to the east side exterior part of the building with a little antenna where you could be out in the parking lot with a cordless microphone. You could be out there with one of these Sennheiser cordless microphones, and that antenna that's out there on the east side of the building will transmit in here to the receiver. This cable here does the same thing on the west side of the building. These are strictly Sennheiser receivers, and you would have to have the number 1 if you wanted to hook up any other receiver, you would have to take this antenna off and hook this into whichever receiver you wanted to use. These are strictly an exterior antenna. There's an antenna on the east side and there's an antenna on the west side that looks identical to this antenna right here. The antennas that were installed on the east and west side previously were installed right here and on that connector. This part here, I have not gotten into the adjustments on this. This you have to get on have a smartphone, a cable that connects, and you do everything using a smartphone or an iPad, and I've not have any experience in adjusting this. We have one thing I must say, this equipment has been very reliable. This equipment was installed in 2004 in the room next door, which now is the bingo office. This little wall was installed and this room was dedicated, this little closet here was dedicated to just this equipment.
Yep.
If you have a failure of an amplifier, this amplifier is standby, backup. If you had a failure of this amplifier, you would come in here, you would turn this on and flip this switch down. That's all you would have to do to bypass a defective. This is the main amp, power amp that feeds all the speakers. That would be the only thing you would have to do back here if this was the only thing that failed. But normal is up and normal here is off. Sometimes when individuals use the system and they're not familiar with how to turn it on and off from out of the controller, they'll come back here and they'll turn this off. Well, the next user comes in, turns the equipment on out there, and then they take a microphone and they go to wherever they wanted to hook up, and they don't have any audio. And then they think the system has failed them. But more than once this has happened to me. This switch was turned off, and when you power the system up, this never was turned on. So it's a simple operator error that occurs quite often. This is a CD player, strictly CD player, and it appears down here on this switch. This is an audio switch, whereas this is the video switch. This position here, we're picking up sound right now off of the cable channel 431 probably is what it is. But This is strictly a monitor of what would be appearing out in the dining area on the TV sets if they were set to channel 3. All of the TV sets, in order to get the cable signal, must be set on channel 3. We're selecting it from this switch. If someone wanted to hook up a DVD player, we have connections out here on the wall where the controllers are, and there's a connection just up on this wall that you could hook in a DVD player. Then you would have to select DVD in order to have your video appear on the TV sets. We're going to go out here to where the bingo caller sets, and we're going to show how we would hook up the bingo equipment, and also the TVs have to be set on a particular channel in order to receive the bingo signal. We don't have the bingo equipment itself out of the storage room, but the bingo signal coming out of the bingo equipment would go into, it's marked here, bingo. We've had occasions where there's been a complaint we're not getting a signal on our TV sets. And we've come back here and we find it's been plugged into the wrong connector. If you have a problem, everything seems to be normal, TVs are set for bingo, we'll go over here and set up that TV for bingo, and you still don't have any signal coming out of, you don't know where the problem is. Is it the bingo equipment? Has our amplifier failed? We have an amplifier. The signal goes in here, goes to an amplifier above the ceiling on the east side of the building. I'll show you approximately where that amplifier is located. But you don't know whether the bingo equipment has failed or our video equipment has failed. So this little camera here is what we use when we have our drawings for our gun feeds, and it serves the purpose as a piece of test equipment. It goes to the same input as the bingo equipment does, and it appears at TV sets as though it were the bingo signal. So if you ever have a problem, you don't know if it's our problem or if it's the bingo equipment, this little unit here can really point you in the right direction. So I'm going to hook this up, and then we're going to go yet. We'll go over here and set the TV up, and then we'll come back here and put positive power. We have 4 TVs in the dining room here. They're labeled. The TV up in that corner of the east wall is number 1. It drops down to number 2 on this corner on the west wall. This is number 3, and number 4 is there in the corner of the east wall. Each TV has its own dedicated remote. You can turn any TV on with any remote or turn them off with any remote. But you must have the remote for that TV in order to get the functions of the TV to operate. What's going on here? Normal bingo signal should be AV. So you should see an AV come up. This is already set for bingo. If you need to reset it, or if it's not set for bingo, go to input and you set it for AV. If you wanted to use the TV and show a cable channel, you would go to TV. But we're going to set this at AV, which is normal for the bingo. Just click it and we're good to go. Have AV up here. Was that? Yep.
Yep.
So this is set up for the bingo signal. Are we on? What we've done here now is we're simulating, or we're actually checking out that our equipment, the video equipment, is operational. Using this little camera, we can see that our amplifier that's above the ceiling is operational. And if we had the bingo equipment here, the signal would be, our equipment would be usable. would be no problems with our equipment. So if you have a problem where you need to use a piece of test equipment, this little camera here comes in very handy. This could save you a lot of headaches and questioning, where do I go to correct the problem?
Okay. And you can move that around so we can see that the picture, you can see the,
You can see that
his hand is underneath the camera there. And he's moving the camera around to show different angles of the thing.
at each TV, you'll find a wall plate like this. This goes directly up through the wall into this TV set. Each TV has an input on the wall beneath the TV set. The thinking was, whenever they first built and installed the TVs, that if any time they wanted to rent the hall to organizations or several organizations, like a taxidermist organization, not each user, but a user could put their own videos on this TV set, and then we would have 4 of them available. That has not happened. We've not had to use any of these wall units. One of our firemen at one time brought in his own video player and hooked it up and showed just for a few of his family members. But that's the only occasion that we've ever had to use those. But they're there, available. If in the future somebody would need to use them, we've got them. And we've got the cables that would connect from this to their player in the audio room, in the cabinet. We have capabilities to connect computers, laptops, our iPads, so forth, to the TV system. We'll show you, this would be the channel that you would want to be on for TVs or for the to hook up a computer. This is you go to input, and you would select to hook up a computer, laptop. You would have to set your TVs to where is it here? The RGB PC, and you'll see this TrueLink. This is from an amplifier that's located above the ceiling. I'll show you in a moment approximately where that is above the ceiling. But if you have this TrueLink up here, that indicates that the amplifier that you would be hooking your computer to is in operation. I'll show you over here on the control panel where you would hook up your computer. To hook up your computer, you would hook your cable into here and to your computer. The audio would go in here, and then that signal will appear on your TrueLink on your TV sets. We have equipment that is above the ceiling that is powered from down here behind the cabinet. That equipment is the audio video amplifier that feeds our bingo signals, the TrueLink, which is the connection you would hook to for a laptop. That amplifier receiver is above the ceiling. They are powered, and by the way, the power is applied all the time. The power is not turned on and off, excuse me, by the controller that turns the sound system on and off. That equipment above the ceiling is powered 100% of the time. So if you would have a failure, say the bingo signal, you didn't get a bingo signal to your TV sets, but you knew that you had a signal going on the cable to the amplifier, then you would probably have to access the amplifier above the ceiling, because the signal from the bingo equipment goes into the wall, goes by coax to the amplifier above the ceiling, and then it branches out to the TV sets. So the bingo signal is strictly above the ceiling. So if you have any problems with the bingo signal, you have to access the amplifier above the ceiling. The power to the equipment above the ceiling is fed by this cable. You can see it's marked with a red tape. That is AC power going up to above the ceiling to a distribution strip which is located above the ceiling. There's an amplifier located above the ceiling that controls that TrueLink input, and also your bingo signal goes to an amplifier above the ceiling and then to all 4 TV sets. Also, the signal goes out to the gathering area, to a location out there for a TV set. I advise anytime you need to get up there to not get up on a step ladder, to get a scaffolding, movable scaffolding to get up there. This equipment was installed by AV Solutions over from Biggerville. If you ever have any problems with the equipment that you need their assistance, their telephone number is in this book, and it's 717-677-8770. This book remains in the sound room. So also there's a description of everything that we've gone through on these handouts. So if you have any problems, try to refer back to the description. This concludes the presentation of our sound system.